This video is part of a series of videos that show details of a long trip I made along the Yellow River in China. This is a map of China. The Yellow River is a very long river. In fact, it's almost as long as the well-known Yangtze River. I drove north from Hancheng to Qikou along the Yellow River, which has played an important role in China's history. At the beginning of my trip, the guide and I drove along a modern, almost empty freeway. Alongside the freeway was an elevated train track that was being constructed. It will carry a bullet train at almost 200 miles an hour. We drove beside this sort of bridge for 50 miles. I learned one reason why the freeway had been so traffic-free. It was actually a toll road. We had to pay when we exited. The number of toll gates here have been built to handle a large amount of traffic in the future. Lots of China is being groomed for the future. This dog leads a charmed life. One feature of this portion of the trip were the large number of heavy trucks we encountered. They signaled a lot of construction going on. Some of this construction going on is on roads and streets right in the middle of town, causing big traffic problems. There didn't seem to be any traffic control at all. You'll note the building on the left is being constructed new also, as is the road we are trying to navigate. My driver guide had never been in this part of China before and often stopped to ask our way from the locals. The locals seemed expressionless to me. When we resumed driving toward our somewhat remote and less visited location, we entered the loam or loess soil country. It's a very hilly country, eroded and tilled using terracing techniques. Even in these less populated areas, I was surprised at the amount of modern development I saw. This is a gigantic coal mine. As I understood it, the coal mine itself was located under that huge dome just ahead. Note the hills in the background, typical of this part of the country. China uses a lot of coal for its energy needs. But very soon we were back on primitive roads. And there were heavy trucks here, too. Eventually, we passed this long line of heavy trucks, waiting to be loaded. The amount of construction going on in China was mind-boggling. My driver guide, Mr. Gao, is here studying his map and calling someone to see if he can get some sort of a shortcut in the direction we were driving to our final destination today. A local lady gave him the best advice. Here we are as we are first arriving at our hotel in Chiku. This is the front of our hotel. Note the Yellow River on the left and the narrow cobblestone street in front of the hotel. I was surprised by the amount of traffic, small and large, that used this narrow, ancient street beside the Yellow River. I watched with awe as huge trucks, almost as wide as the road, carefully maneuvered down this narrow street. Modern construction had not yet reached the village of Chiku. The road in front of the hotel was precariously supported by a near vertical ancient stone wall. We arrived in the springtime. Can you see the pollen floating through the air? The Yellow River itself was the focus of our trip, and here was a great chance to get down to the banks of the river. There were many picturesque scenes here. The locals made good use of the river. These guys are cleaning their shoes. Our hotel entrance was guarded by the typical lions. When night fell, it seemed like we were in a medieval castle. That ends this part of the trip. The next part shows our exploration of Qikou and its surroundings.